aking ilagabi-gabilaw Amagtubo amagaro tele Rasit galbalwa Tegong isarara asingwa Salgo mga tao
Hoy malul tata chenis kaman sulal gukno sa edel metial mo ngogam erul al episode tial siorgi dra Berius ais malt marudre al total waseng mlos edel mail ngariya tewal el guest el tirga adra blar agora usentel el black invited til may matamogoro wa siorgi da tetele la sel togora ocean acidification maluben sel gora mal mokla acidra dabe malwaise aromengge kangani chief researcher IKELAU OTTO ma researcher Victor Nestor ma research assistant al MCQUINNLEY MESENGEI tirgay agest al tutaw el mal dimosad el momsad sel tora ocean acidification ma direct legal training el direct el blowing rekel bela emay el direct del tora urere la ocean acidification malwaise guidia ulal mora IKELAU mo bolsebel gora omu guko aisa wasengra ocean acidification ngra ulmung necessary legal training.
Okay, so lang asap ung total mer kamil rokoy. Okay, so when we talk about ocean acidification, it's complicated or it's a confusing thing to explain. So I just wanted to take some time to kind of explain what it really means and what it means to our ocean and why it's important for us to study it. So ocean acidification essentially is when we burn too much fossil fuels. There's a lot of factories, cars. All of these releases gas into the air. What happens is the ocean absorbs it. And when the ocean absorbs it, it changes the chemistry in the water. What happens when it changes the chemistry is it creates a hostile environment for the animals that live inside, specifically corals, clams, crabs, lobsters, so anything that needs to grow a skeleton or shell. Because what happens is the ocean is a delicate balance of a chemistry, and when this chemistry changes, the corals then have a difficult time growing their skeleton. So they grow a lot slower, or they don't grow as strong. And one of the examples that I like to use for ocean acidification is a health issue that humans have. It's called osteoporosis. Okay, that's what happens when our bones don't have enough calcium. So I do an example where someone is walking and they're perfectly healthy. They may trip on something and fall down, and they're completely fine. They can get up, no problems. But someone with osteoporosis might trip and fall down, and they may be more likely to break a bone. Say they stop them from falling and they put their hand out, they might break their wrist. Their bones become fragile. Okay, and so this is the same kind of concept for the ocean acidification on corals. Their skeleton doesn't grow as strong, and so what happens is when we have storms, all of these big storms or typhoons that come in, they create waves, right? Wave surges. And corals are supposed to be the front line for protection for the land. But if they're not strong enough to break down these waves or the wave strengths, then the waves will just come straight in. And so these waves will easily break the corals because they're not as strong. So that's why we're interested in it. Palau right now, at the Palau International Coral Reef Center, we're in a really great position where we are developing a lab, our ocean acidification lab, or we always refer to it as OA, our OA lab, so we can study the effects of these. Because this is not just the issue for Palau, but this is an issue globally for Micronesia, the Pacific, and around the world. So what we're doing now is through the assistance and projects with the International Atomic Energy Agency, they are providing us with training and with equipment for us to be able to measure our waters, to measure the chemistry in the waters, to see how are we being impacted, and we can conduct experiments on corals to see how the corals will handle these changes. So right now, as we are developing the lab, we're a few years in now, we've gotten a number of high-tech equipment that will be able to measure these things in precision. And so with these equipment, we needed the training. We needed to be able to not only have the facility to conduct high-end research, but also the expertise to conduct this research. So the Palau International Coral Reef Center, PICRIC, is now positioning ourselves to be the center for the region, where instead of, say, Pohnpei wants to do some studies or Chuuk wants to do some studies, they don't have to collect their samples and send it to the US or send it to Australia or Korea to get measured. They can send it to us and we can measure it, or they can come to Palau with their samples and we can teach them how to do it. But this is our development as a lab at the center that we want to provide for not just Palau, but for the region as well. So those are some of the things, the reasons for ocean acidification, the work that we're doing, and kind of leading into why we're actually here talking about the training we just returned from. So I'm going to pass this on to MQ, McQuinley, and he's going to kind of explain a little bit more in Palauan. And then also MQ went to Fiji for a training, and he'll talk about the training that he was on. So lang.
Oy, malwaising malungil total marok adals ilmet tuni orangs. So kadimut tel mamelek like el tokol ulsa da igral girela ocean acidification. Magot tolbet tolong so del tang awai tagiden. Ilang nga akas lubong yol tol demodonic mong CO2. CO2 akas nga yol tol dalom laut teliringi melani mati el asil semru lagalel el tod oxygen. Titta de lo sisil yol tol tulay gal mli del blan il mlay at tula dengi pura epsego mga malal. Sige del makit tel at matlet tel de gidel adel melmot magarragar ay ka release sa carbon dioxide mo ramlidiul. Sige del carbon dioxide ada ba nga ba pokor del 30% sige del carbon dioxide el mul absorbani. El absorbani nga chemical reaction el happen et tablol tokas el duba. Selgota pH rata pa mereu over long periods of time. pH selolga global melbod motel klalbong acidic ang basic. Mo selong irul tokol ni hal sel happen akmong agel dunk mong carbonate ions agel mo makasay. Ela carbonate ions sa malkod kotel cloud tutleleng awamaranda. Carbonate ions sa motmak ni calcium and to the calcium carbonate. Di sel pa hospital at toktang akmulit mo sa mom sisil mga calcium ni mom sisil iusim. Kumaldo sisil concept di tong rat to rata. Awamaran may gero kunni nga ulak ngalel may gero kunni el armada lolungoy. Ay ka uspa calcium carbonate lom gro tal alatan lumtal mdarel iusin. Mselo ay sing silbol mring ay kal arm lom gro al atal ay ka di start to silgot tel yo e ko min effect el affect el gidro koy. Lumamura amaran de kita mdek mo bela wa ultuira at korak lang kodang ular bela turista mir bela omesra de bet michael ngar alsil mabola ka amaran ding moda ka ngigil eng moda ka ulaw do mir bela kita mdek mong kita bela tal da pa dalat mga malakali deringi kodul turingil for subsistence fisheries may gila tara ka maluul mong korasom mrutal om subgil la OA so mumnik mutyang mlamo nga a level ngira pelaw mablul adrogir belang kay IKELAU misal mo active na training nga magayori ra Fiji ela se ukol sele goan na global ocean acidification observing network se ko al other scientist mar adam subra tabel ukti focus at ko ra OA Magiman longot tangat sel training game planning amle funded through NOAA. Ocean acidification program na NOAA tale national
No other US agency.
oo isegit ma NOAA ma Ocean Foundation mal to kamne sponsor ta amne funded tal training mam magim na Fiji ngani kel kit el dukmong low cost kit el bilskit sa 2018 el dulabel wala bonita la porque dulabel el analyze our sample sa debel belo magim na sem supmong kumakaramol at taral marada bel may analyzing na lab going mga kel data ni emoto del morabul ad mong rogul atas ilo misel tal data sa ila ko ratim le piotolom so del training romame
May lakcal molgori MQ wasing. Mbulul adrogil murut kaluror. Masayid ilm da se koan. Sing Global Ocean Acidification Network.
Oy.
Mbulgula se kaluror moruringi angariar bebira. Oh. Komi. Mbulgula kmot kaluror moruringi angariar bebira. Ablu namu ulay gagi duluror. Amru lagi duluror at some point tagay dari tan galek ta umudurok kulmo langarin sel korawal imol basyol langay garo kulmo omes yung wabodo donglia acidification rado bela bulul adro siya kora muktel seguir so mensa ito la set training obloni awado la say partra clow network ngara blurir aurora galek ta dita o durok kulmo say
maloy se
ya tiamal training namos ero ko mamruringira ablo da galek ta gagi de selo mengela ablulat betul lah kasim di lakal urut, otak tak rokui, ekat mau betul sih, maluang rakal milang bela belul ada elal time.
I see. Et malangat ngat asab le say wat training say kimle 21 el adra 10 el kakarusel blue Pacific. Ya mos tertira kalda kala bertir.
I see.
Adra to gelal tiruk mal isolated el bring tira mala wat tora equipment. En kay IKELAU sak mong era tay de la bergita swad kamrungik mong while one na kora originals ida other dirgal me ka tolong ser til group talong so
Raul durok mo ro ide tukti bela kada
I see
yang malungin kada mal ora excited here legal training oblorin tial el label dong pokni na ora reef center hopefully moral mo suged el gut muklil mo ora wal regional habra ka especially Micronesia
I see Micronesia
kamalo ko MQ lo se arwato ke lawa I'm not 21 el blue.
Na gimne 21 el adra wa 10 el blue.
Oh, 21 el adra 10 el blue. Am lo magi de persay. Ya umsin regel blue adia ka labra ka blue rin.
Oh.
Makora wandel wasi. Melal sum tagalek tagal sample. Ito special kam le mention rin early wasing simple git
or something. Oh, say git low cost git. Oh, blel donate ten mergit mong sa dalo mura tora loral mo tabi ka mala funding
Okay. Ya, begira ang sebenarnya ko rasa kada dili kalau kamu lokal trat na mas edel luar ulia urere la la pergi.
I see.
Ya kita bebira blu di hospital simple dia.
I see.
Kite. Yan ya kamal sulang MQ mal interesting training obloni. Ya kau mager amno segin.
I see.
Mela sel dogi tagi training obloni. Ya galu dari ang area time ko motor do mala sample el may. Emuru lagi gidil obla training el gire. Kora analyze o mesa.
I see.
Kami marwa ebelin makaluro o mesra sengwara asidra malu bengkel mil adabela bulwa.
I see.
Very interesting. Madalwa se club el mari asil MQ kami ukpodol ni traffic yang alak alwiden dire kalmura training. Ukpodol ni traffic mul kora share with asagel kukul kora asilu bersera kukul ba training. Ela MQ kamla Fiji kau mageur ela viga gukmla training ka ereng mo ai sia semla training dige dengan ramang mirul kabong e biga ula le kora ka mumbukum kora.
Alright, thank you Asaf. I'll talk about our recent training in California and our future plans on ocean acidification work. So our trip to California went very well. We were there for 2 weeks, and it was funded by the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency. During our trip, we got to meet scientists at Stanford University, the Hopkins Marine Station, the Monterey Aquarium, and the California Academy of Science. And we got to see how these scientists do their work there. So at Stanford University, we were mainly with Professor Robert Dunbar and his lab manager, David Mukarroni. They trained us on how to use some of the instruments they have in their lab, And yeah, we got to learn how to use this their titration system, where we just load our samples, can be like 10 to like 90 number of samples, and it analyzes all of that by itself automatically, which is
Wow.
yeah, we just had to click the start button on the computer, and it does all of it. And so the lab manager explained to us that one advantage of that system is that it decreases the precision, because all this data increases the precision of the measurements we're trying to get. So thank you, Chief. And then so that's for the lab. And then we also with the lab manager, we also had like long discussions on how to conduct ocean acidification studies. We mainly at Pickwick work on ocean acidification and coral reefs, but we talked more about how we can do similar studies in other habitats like seagrass bed and mangroves.
Interesting.
And then we also learned the different factors that we need to consider in doing this kind of study. So we need to consider like tide and currents, weather. All of these change the chemistry in the water. So, and then we also learn best ways to how to collect samples to answer our specific questions. So yeah, these discussions and training helped us see what we have at Pickwick and seek ways for us to improve our work on ocean acidification. Then we also met with the Stanford Health and Safety Department, and we learned about lab safety and management. They shared their protocols on how they run their labs, as well as how they handle their chemicals and chemical waste. We also learned about safety protocols for fieldwork, so going on the boats, going diving, all of these have their procedures, safety procedures. But we have all of these protocols at Pickwick, but with high standards that these universities practice, we see areas that we can improve on.
Right.
Then for our future work, we plan to expand our ocean acidification work from coral reefs to other habitats like seagrass bed and mangroves. We know, as our chief researcher and my colleague MQ pointed out, that ocean acidification involves the absorption of carbon dioxide or carbon in the atmosphere from plants like seagrass and mangrove trees. So ocean acidification study in this area, in these habitats, can help us tackle climate change issues like in the future, right? Now, this can be difficult because chemistry is difficult. Fortunately for us, at Pickwick takes advantage of training opportunities, so it allows us, the staff at Pickwick, to go and get trainings from experts to help us improve our work here at Pickwick.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Halak ko di telgib el gora di mo summarize el lulugo o Victor, for the sake of non English speakers Victor awlu ay saseng ang interesting sel training learning tunguk nor amrigel ngaro sisil training learning ma MQ ndirwa Victor akuk nor sel Stanford University. Sorry, Victor ma ngagidle IKELAU amlo sisil training si the Stanford. Hindi ela Victor selang do ya kor o mesring say telgib gorango sel training learning ra MQ. MQ no sisil training ra ocean acidification hindi tamal dim subla sing magara collect sample may collect the secure ngal mala bet analyze el arwa vi gamlo ra telgib gorawal small training tamlo o mesra say al sum the set up arwala magraigel gora safety protocol arwala magraigel gora safety protocol ra o el bakal bala sample tamlo ra gigid gora rogu il tretele la agora safety tial togora ocean acidification na sample collection matamlo mre ke dire gamlo o ngagi dabi gamlo ay sala set ta milga do urtigel gora matatal mut tial uron e dire gamlo mtingel asing ndiakal sal soril di malara el al time agora al rifa amla a sample ra tial di dura sen gerger el mejor analyze ese era el botigel hakasya sing dire lungil obom molas memla sample ra kagrus el basyo ra garger leng sello ngot do abi ngosay sello ral mongot adal ela adabo endire gal sel gora wal bolngot a chemistry ni malu ben selur amel adaba mongot mang mal interesting telblo ni arabi lilu tulgora motmolo om subil girela sigid training inga gid abi mo malgol asay ngatenge dal gora mo ulay gagid luror mang dirga ka mal urgit makada uspay gagid training gora wal al ngosugid makada mosbed improve ay gal ngaring irgit sel lora la tamal maral mo ma igamal sulang ebik that's very interesting also mo say gide oh yeah, you did touch a future or a research project, eh? So in the future, you're planning to expand into different ecosystem. Oh, masaya dulu ko niya big kasi ang armada del time ng amo dia kada sant mal di ngaraban nga karger ka dal amo moral mora ko ka crucial basyo malay gid el tokora arole la ocean acidification. Tial ocean acidification. Kung adik mo ocean acidification, hindi ka mal tingin da other bela lo say ngara ocean acidification. Makadora malat ketial acid lo say arwa maradala acid magmim maun makadora adigi del mlaka mablo say sel do ocean acidification ya katala ko ra mulgol girel sel kalmila daw. So kora akom agri amin hindi ka tingin lo say magmim. Makadora diyo sa sel marado la acidic, you know. Makadora auspel sa taygi del ocean acidification at tokora subel tial pikrigam establish la lab senradal ma training in melm subring gagi del training ma lab blalgat makli mal di mulut kilgire la aurel taygi del tokora kal milada le gadarogul madinga la say akal milada amral moklo lengwa gagi del blaldu trigal researcher sergid amlal adi al sebel MQ stop production. Arada alam namum dia say elan exira kutida Tesla, you know, a new Tesla mga cooks mo ka million. Dia al sebel amlay mangaral stop production. Masel lora la gagi klol kom bali lo meo bapto kom na lol traw ma gidet tial dion maringa siabal me omlani. Esay gid lol ko ni MQ la say carbon dioxide. Tiang ngara tulam lang carbon dioxide. Say at 12 del morbab instead at 12 del morbab ng mla moklog tagi del uubra abebula atmosfera blulat indiak ri tiang monga bounce mutil mereu masel mereu tial davo ngo ako del basent tringi ya esel lo del basent avay tal mera del lom mangara blu mara melat tial davo al sugum mral moklog tagi del carbon dioxide madaba mral moklo lo laring en sebed lo mes la say hindi maral mom gumi madaba doral for the next 5 or 10 years hindi maral mom gumi madaba aun mong maklog tutira siya ay me dora atral msubla say kad mo yere idere gigiri malu gadam tigaral dogimi en sebed el gora sob klit al daw le sum ndiaga mong saya agora blolulbong tial program rigid triga igid el guest rigid al tutaw e mal di soal mo ay so say tial kora rif center gidar ada bela rogui atara igel core value mali bingel maklok tutel togol lultuiringi mrula urel o mrala sei ara adra uror agiril momdu ragal urol lorul in other words kado value igel training maka capacity building se atara core value ra sel strategic plan ra kora rif center kidet tial mla kora adu emo ka dingel sei o maklok tutel mark platel melel mera dab tial ocean acidification kadam la mom dina sing cloud to tlel bo do ringil en platel melel mera dab ma el al time agora reef center ngulumura when was that Evelyn when we start to kind of establish the lab I was 3 years ago
We started collecting in 2018.
No, I mean the establishment of the lab.
Of this lab? 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, ang gagida, ay gala luluay sila say, umlaringi, kaduluro lubanggela, IAEA. Sel IAEA, say International Atomic Energy Agency. Ese nga
Vienna.
Vienna.
Austria.
Austria. Okay. سيجد ال IAEA lab ngara sel headquarter adire kalau merat kel tol doruni mata ulsi lo se game da destinado bela se kelel se edel gora kain se lo lo mentri edat mok lagi edel gora of course in the right level of musra right you see I mean Stanford dagat mok la level nya seb el gora ready ut mok lagi lo kabisig lura ngarnya gora amor detail se edel sendel magel mok lo anyway 2 years ago ya gora reform lo gut mok tay edel lab lembigos en close to tlel do su bertial tora ocean acidification engegi da igalam la mention early lo say kadugut maklit tala ba usperingi madire kal MQ la mention early lo say salva training en tora igal bulu adia amalla bertil mesel gora idea kadugut maklit tala ba usperingi e dire kal sebedel gora wapo tay gal leader tial guk maori rigid tial sela micronesia wa igel blem mention igala ole lo say al sugumar adra abola ba amla galik tasam portir e instead malol duruk kulmora wa mrigel il descend el mergid maqad analyze mortir malu betu interested en sib ilme tiang e orolom trawa igala analyze atara to ya say inshallah gut npit lab ngora mowal regional hub e dire gora training facility girela atrigal neighbors rigide ba gegi da ger kwat to il gora rifa umrang emalmol melmilsi ilgiret taltora au acidification ngomra tora training omra la seng lamo gire del el smisia subed gire la ocean acidification le lora el mormada del timing moklal atel melel miradaw en masayida pikriga amlagut maklala bel الموؤول نسأل المرور لقايد الورد مقدم موضوع تلا وش acidification يا أو سيل تايم سلم مولبون الغرا صاد المو قاضين يا شيء التأكيد اللعبة hopefully yang mesti ada experience الغرا وال for regional training micronesian region training makada mal beringa suli mal interesting agar training oblong ngal May makada mal di beringa suli we wasay bolse bedel tmaglo rol القط مقلة جايد البلاد منشن ما بولسب المرال قام into fruition بولسب المورد سيجي يا قرا هذه سؤال الدولي يقول ما مسؤولات تدي okay yes
Ali caller ngara air
okay Janice malungi tutaw le ko nga malungi tutaw le ko nga asap kaum til al member rapid mal interesting talk show. Dakpol ol ngara internet omes sagel rogul produkte ngara dabre atta. Acid ma mercury ma nutre biri da tokod contaminated dabre acid. El al time yang namo diaga te al rogul tokod stop. Kider el acid sa dingar o malasem. Experiment temlasmal protect tayo laigil to ko environment transebra aguk podwagma diregal bulula abrogis el asel do mese ang aramong ang munegere acid rabaw deng air tadim nem gasay pabila tadim nem gasay el polut rabaw sel carbon lo balo to ngin mo rabaw segir carbon arulia rabaw ben mo makamin sel bon makamin mabaw hindi wa igel ko itiran na maskulir ayer rogul arm ngarnya sel protector tiadikret ayer ya normal active sel boklo kan min yegi del arma dima bel sel the begin raudas engira den bersue le raudas sel wal foundation raudas e diregal mesa sel en raudas tu singal solution adreli egse del minimize away gagidel el pollute maluud yung carbon el mura adi only way about minimize sa air ilangan mo ng single engine el ang double engine namo muklo namo to umroled diwaigel mo lo asam wasing namo dia kateal gusto ba ang carbon ra amintial air ba al sirabaw ba tial kamna contaminated o mo albra sila blula Pabi only way wasay by momrulan la. Ekat momrula gel rogul transportation na tourist mo awal ba el moal to bilas. Man to ba maray laigar rogul alba mutakay gerger rar ari buksel bol kam swing maral kalik 15 merabdu. Sayang Saya tara minimize la carbon mura tial lebih. Edi ang mo bes. Other belau a 99%. Di 1% tablo. Kung sulang ang madungil ang program, tiya tiklik tiya abay nga oldo luwasig. Ulo ko mo away sa school, mo advertise tial bluma in future. Tial blur bela bay mo laboratory. Bay declare gin mo laboratory, dia kan ngarang. Pada gas 7 wonders sa blulaf, kidi agot, kidi number 1. Ito kami mineral sa tial daber. Kung sulang ay iga maukres sa program.
Oy, malmasawla caller. Sildring sa gigil ko comment wal support tagal rul dorul mal mangularud. Ako le na mal concern. I guess ang mga dodo ang malukol asing mahal na mo klatel minele because a lot of boats, a lot of cars. He mentioned some pungkuraw ay sa bebira I guess solution maybe to reduce but again I don't think we can go back. Kung nasa niya kasi reduce lang di manal mong awul mong bike club to trail, establish a lab, get train ourselves and see how can we try to study this thing to understand it well. Kad mo mal mong mong makad mo dira say also mo ay say makad mal na mo mong sell main cause of this. We kind of know now but ako sel bela kasi ngarasen mal ultay ding mal mo klak almi marabaw and maybe we can make because our institution or Palau International Reef Center, they can make recommendation to we can figure out something and make a recommendation that maybe we should go this way, that's like mandated by the law. And so malmsaw la koler concern ring and we just continue to work hard and try to see what can we do to protect our ocean. Okay.
Kaso kadi mo tumok mo sesel.
Go ahead. Pangraw akong simre.
Hindi ang malmsaw la koler tagi asab malmongila malmot sa lovek mo ngani adra blue learnings understand na to sa title to kora ocean acidification gudre kan mini kita amre gid mo to kor belon inding still ngani other understand ring other concern giren de so mo touch selon na kami tinik mong makarabo to solve tal issue elat nga bring to let nga bring kita didikit other bela to solve tal global issue apa yang ada kung bay makarabo super tang e bay do icer ar muteling ma resource managers tira obat tol mo bal mablul atro kiri say mo peter kita at table man kakaret tal ocean acidification
ngoy say haladik tela lang MK gumuk mlam ngadul ko ra ko say muktir tayidil IAEA
say
give out this training NOAA give out this training trial trainer up in that way we sell mulgo ko sell network most of every adrabek bulul muleli wek tabula agalek tasampol informal mortilo say ngara situation ya kunda salbor sayid in lasip el sayid al mega recommendation let's say UN or I mean it's beyond me it's beyond us adi gulo ko say malungi larungud lengania something la starte warwa ko network ma gagidil ko regional training semarang mla ngabla do mul ko udigil yirel tial to ra kalmila da sia wila rudri kedem la ora wake up kedem la makar ali tial da bamral mom kumim we gotta do something mumla mo to ala ora git tial establish ala mar bebi rablu am la send adrin mo training kalek ta sampul mil wek rablu sia ora swadel ko do mo segi de I'm sure in 20 years time 15 years time I'm sure sel kalekta de ta de mineral mon mumtul asing magrado alas mo kora ko kaya gid acidification ra
damay ka rokol tokol doru laiga omuro individual ako mas kung kala mo start terminal mirror mo ko dek mo kal other abi kirtal carbon dioxide family do lubang out mari ang hotel reason ra ko maulda ka mga ramlan mirror dingig mo kay gid mo individual
era sa jang mo gi ya mga lo say Mavalway check mutaltial dulutel mal mga sulira listeners mga sulira arubugul mar masilbelaw arugul mungutiling ra ay gal madalaw ra am trigip dire gal mal guna sulir tedel mas mil mem gadat ma kay gukut mutlitial sure gidra Berius ay el buil madalway sen limeritiang rasyo am lam simre
arangalage balwa Mother be Lagarage magale. Yeah, what the